Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jaguars for On SI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to move forward through yet another offseason together. All right, folks, welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. Today, I'm just giving some of my overall thoughts on the combine. I know James Gladstone and Liam Cohen were not there, and I've spent enough oxygen explaining why it couldn't matter less. If either you accept it or you don't at this point, but the Jaguars still had a large volume of staff members, boots on the ground in Lucas Oil Stadium at the combine over the past weekend. Some of my general takeaways and things I've heard, we'll just start right off the bat. Normally, I am in Indianapolis for the combine, and that's where, I'll talk to people I know and have built relationships with on other teams, league sources, agents who I've built relationships with, so on and so forth. And that's when I do my everything I heard at the combine style article. I think that it's one of my favorite articles I do every single season. Stinks. If I had to think of one negative to not going to the combine this year, that would be probably far and away, not even the top one. That'd be the only one. So with that in mind, I've still, worked the phones, still have been able to gather some information from Indianapolis. The big thing, I've heard, it's the same thing that we've been saying. It's the same thing that we've been trying to get across. I believe it is the same thing that fans have accepted at this point. It is the fact that teams around the league expect for Travis Etienne and Devin Lloyd to be the top paid players at their positions just in this free agency class. It obviously, I don't think they're going to hit Saquon and Fred Warner money, but it certainly appears that teams around the league do not expect the Jaguars to retain either one of them, which, I noted when I was talking about Etienne's contract this week on social media that I've been told that there have been no indications so far that the Jaguars plan to use the franchise tag on Etienne. I wasn't attempting to report something because it is genuinely obvious, but I felt like it needed to be said. Somebody asked me, why does this need to be said? The tag would obviously cost too much. He's not getting tagged. I agree with you. I full-heartedly agree with you. That doesn't mean there haven't been a bounty of questions about it over the last several weeks and months. And that doesn't mean even after I put that out there that some people were like, hey, I'd still pay the franchise tag. So it's still something, worth considering because some fans are thinking about it, but teams around the league do not expect it. Teams around the league expect both Lloyd and Etienne to hit free agency. I heard that from more than several people who were there in Indianapolis, mixing it up with the rest of the NFL's, power players and decision makers. Whether they leave to sign, market setting deals or whatever, that all remains to be seen. But I'd be surprised at this point if either returns to Jacksonville next season. Not to say I don't think the Jaguars wouldn't be open to it, and not to say I don't think that there's a chance the Jaguars attempt to make something work. It's just with the way that the business of free agency works. I mean, if you're Travis Etienne especially, this is the only time that Etienne will more likely to not be able to hit a big payday in the NFL. Be irresponsible for him not to consider the open market. I personally think that, again, that all kind of goes without saying that the Jaguars, won't be paying top dollar for either one of those guys, but it regardless needs to be said. I think that the Jaguars ultimately, my probably second takeaway. This draft looks like it's matching up for their needs pretty well. I mean, corner, this draft looks good in. Edge, it looks good in. Linebacker, tight end. It's not a very good running back class, but I think some guys stood out in terms of their testing to at least maybe add some day 3 flavor. But simply put, this looks like a good year for the Jaguars to have 11 picks between the second and third days of the draft. And I've said this before, it's never a good thing to not have a first-round pick. Like, obviously, it'd be better if the Jaguars had the 24th pick in this draft. But with that in mind, and I don't think they did this on purpose. I think it just ended up being a happy coincidence. If there's a year that the Jaguars, would be okay with giving up a first-round pick, it feels like this draft. Because you look at their positions of need and the guys who are really soaring there, and it's a lot of day 2, day 3 positions. I think that the cornerback class and the linebacker class and the tight end class especially, Jaguars likely already felt good about these classes and won't do any double counting, after good combine performances, as they shouldn't. But I mean, I don't think they can leave from this event and not be happy with what they saw from those groups. I think you can easily walk into this draft with 11 picks and improve your depth behind Britton Strange, improve the cornerback room, and potentially even find your linebacker of the future. So I think this draft matches up quite well for what the Jaguars need. And I think this combine only affirmed it. Was it great in terms of guys who look like first-round prospects? No. That doesn't match the Jaguars. And I've said this, this kind of been my go-to the last couple of weeks, but it's clear that this is a weak class when outside of Mendoza, who I don't think most people consider the best player anyways, but obviously quarterbacks highlight each class. But, not counting the quarterback class, which is only a one-player class, the top 3 players in this class are a linebacker in Arvell Reese, who maybe is a edge rusher, a running back in Jeremiah Love, and a safety in Caleb Downs. If this was a good draft class, the 3 best players would not be a running back, a safety, and a linebacker. And those are 3 very special prospects at those respective positions. But it's pretty clear that the meat of this class and the value will come outside of round 1. And I truly think that the combine, honestly, only confirmed that. And then lastly, my final thought from the combine is that if I wasn't already in favor, or at least understanding and thinking that's not a big deal for the Jaguars to not go to the combine, holy crap. I don't see how you don't feel that way after what we've seen from this year's combine. 1 running back did agility drills. You do not need these guys there to scout these drills in person, especially now with so few players doing them. And if you're saying you need James Gladstone and Liam Cohen there, if you're expecting James Gladstone to discover the future of a player's NFL career based off a 15-minute interview, you think he's a transcendent human spirit. I don't think any general manager in the league has that power. I'm sure many of them believe they do. I can think of one in Buffalo. But if combine interviews were all that important, would Brandon Beane have picked Keon Coleman? I'm not even sure if they interviewed him at the combine, but let's get real here. There's no reason that teams have to be at the combine in person. There just isn't. Media likes going every year. Teams in the NFL like the moneymaker it's become. They even let fans in to freaking watch guys run. The combine's a joke now. And this, to me, was the biggest sign yet that the combine has kind of become a shell of what it used to be. And yes, there's still value in it, but there's zero chance you can convince me the Jaguars can't get that value with the decision makers in Jacksonville. So those are my thoughts on the combine. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. We'll be back next time.